Hello, everyone. The first game we are going to go over today is the NFL preseason. We're going to combine the NFL and the MLB in this game, but we're going to start with NFL. We're going to start with the first game of the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts versus the Baltimore Ravens. All right, the spread, as you can see, is on the screen. The odds are on the screen. The money line -270 for the Colts, +220 for the Baltimore Ravens, and as you can see here, Colts are a sizable favorite. Of course, this is just preseason. Over-unders at 36.5, with the over getting that -105. -105s hit more than the -115s. Just keep that in mind. And it is like about 65-35%. That's relatively high, especially in the world of betting. But the spread is at 5.5 points, -120 going with the Colts, +100 going with the Ravens. And let's go over this real quick. -270 for the Colts, +220 for the Ravens. So this -270 here has significantly increased from its opening, but a lot still have right here. As you can see right here, Bet365 still has it at -250. So it's going up for the Colts. Obviously, they're only getting 17% of the money with that high percentage. 83% of the money going with Baltimore. 80% of the money going with the Colts on the spread, though. So people putting more money on the Colts on the spread, but even though they're a favorite, but not on them as a money line. 20% of the money going with Baltimore. Over under is at, it says 36.5. It is at 36.5. And -105 going over. That is 64% of the money, 69% of the betting. So not significant, but it is a 5% difference. It is enough for you to consider that. So I would recommend with this one. Depends on who they start at quarterback for each team. Of course, the starters. Lamar Jackson and those guys are not going to play, especially this early in the preseason, but about one possession if they play at all. But over under, especially this early in the preseason, over under 36.5. That 5.5 point spread is very significant, and the Colts are at -270. The only way I see the Colts winning this game is if this percentage increases, because it's continued to decrease. It was at 20 a few hours ago. Now it's down to 17. So the only way I see the Colts winning this game is if this percentage increases significantly to about 25+%. And they're going up on this value. It makes me think they're going to win this game regardless. So consider the Colts on the money line in this one, because they keep going up on the value, going up in their respective directions. That is in the negative. They were at -250. Now they're at -270. So consider the Colts right there. But also consider Baltimore on the spread. If you go with the Colts here, go with Baltimore on the spread right there. All right, Cincinnati versus Philadelphia, -240 for the Bengals, +190 for the Eagles. That is also a 5.5 point spread. -120 going with the away team once again. Over unders at 37.5. -105 going over. -115 going under. And so this -240. Let's see. -240 for the Bengals on the road at the Eagles. Let's see. -120. Let's see. 56% of the money going with Cincinnati on the money line currently, early this morning. 64% of the money going with Cincinnati. Over under 71-66, so the over is dominating that one. Just like the last one, not dominating, but this one's more dominant. 66% of the money going with the over. At what cost is that over? Once again, -105. So it's obviously this early in the season, early in the preseason. These are first games. It's not much to go on. We don't know who's going to start for a lot of these teams, except, of course, Cleveland, for obvious reasons. But, yeah, they're going to start Shedeur tomorrow. But anyway, we're going to focus on today, -240 for the Bengals. Look out for the Eagles only if this 44% goes down to about 38-35-ish% or lower. 44% is a lot of money to pay this 190 out. And this has increased, actually. It was 180, now it's 190. And this has increased from 43 to 44 over the last few hours. So The only way I see the Eagles winning at home is if those percentages drop. But consider the Bengals across the board and also join the public and go with that over. Now, Las Vegas versus the Seattle Seahawks. Raiders versus Seahawks. Minus 210 for the Raiders. Plus 175. Okay, 175. Okay, they were at plus 178. Okay, that has since changed. Over unders at 36.5 with the 105 going under in this one. And let me scroll down. We don't need to focus on those games till tomorrow. All right. 64 and 62%. 64 and 62% here. Going over. So the over. No, wait. Hold on. Okay, yeah, okay. I was looking at something else. All right. 64 and 62% going over. Sorry about that. With the over this 36.5. Now this has changed. It was minus 110 even on this total. But since that under is gone to minus 105, whichever one goes to that minus 105 ends up there, and that is so far the under, go with that. Now, of course, these can change throughout the day, but consider going with that under 36.5. Minus 4.5 at minus 105 cost, minus 210. Let's see. Minus 210 going on the money line here. Plus 175 here. Okay, minus 210 going with this 26, and that those have remained consistent pretty much. Now, it was at minus 225, but that was several days earlier this week, several days ago. Now, not a significant difference over the course of 4 or 5 days. 26% odds, 74% going with Seattle. All right. Minus 210 here. Minus 4.5 here. Minus 105 here. All right. Now, if Raiders are going to win this game, that minus 210 has to increase. It can't dip below that minus 200, considering they're getting such a low percentage. I mean, the Seahawks are getting 74% at this plus 175. That is a large amount to pay out. As it currently stands, I would go with the Raiders on the road, but Seattle on the spread in this one. But let's go to MLB. Right, MLB, we have the Athletics versus the Nationals. Now, minus 134, they are beneath that minus 136. Once again, it's real time. They are beneath that minus 150 threshold, plus 116 for the Nationals at home. Run line looks like this, minus 1.5 for the Athletics at plus 114, plus 1.5 for the Nationals at minus 137. Over-unders at 9, minus 105 going over, minus 115 going under. And as you can see, this over 9, minus 105 going over. Okay. That is getting 72% of the betting and 74% of the money. And with that getting such a high percentage at that minus 105, which is lesser than minus 115, but the minus 105s are more, you can trust to bet on those, especially with totals. Consider going with that over, and it's a high total, so challenge that over and go with that over. Now, when it's all said and done, the over is obviously going to get less than that 72 and 74 percentile. But just keep that in mind, that it will go down. But monitor this total. Make sure that stays at 9. If it goes beneath that, go with the under. Now, with this minus 134 going to minus 136 and this minus 137 here, A's look good on the ML and the Nationals look good on the run line only if, let me show you this, only if this 82%, they're getting 82% of the Athletics and 95% of the money here. They're getting 95% of this plus 114. They more than likely won't do that unless that goes probably down to like plus 102 or plus 100 or something like that, somewhere around even. But consider that with that game. White Sox versus Mariners, plus 135 for the White Sox, minus 290 for the Mariners. Plus 112, that is the money line. Run line is plus 1.5 or plus 112. Cost, For the White Sox, Mariners is at minus 1.5, obviously, at minus 134 cost on their run line. Over-unders at 7.5, relatively low. And I always tell people to challenge that over-under when it's a low total, 7.5, and it's a higher cost at minus 122. But let's see where the money is going in this one. Mariners are a huge favorite. 97 percentile here, 86 percentile on the run line. That is where the money is going. I would go with the Mariners across the board, but this is a game I would avoid betting on unless you go with the dog, unless you're confident in going with the dog in this game. They are getting a huge advantage here. 97% of the money, 86% of the money here. Challenge that with an underdog pick. I would go with Seattle confidently, but they're getting 97% of the money right now and 86% of the money on the run line. Challenge that percentile and go with the under. Go with the go with the underdog only if those percentiles hold up right here. And always challenge that high total and fade the public and go with that low total and go with the under 7.5. All right, Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh. Plus 144 for Cincinnati, minus 172 for Pittsburgh. Minus 182 cost. That is the money line, by the way. Minus 182 cost for Cincinnati's run line in this one. That is a super high. Minus 152. Minus 150. They're above that minus 150 threshold. Minus 1.5 run line for the Pirates at plus 125. Over-unders once again at 7.5. You want to challenge that, but let's see where the money is going. Just like the last game, plus 100 for the over, minus 122 cost for the under 7.5. Let's see where the money is going in this one. All right. 74% going with the Reds at home on the money line. However, Pittsburgh is getting 81% as a favorite. Obviously, if you pick a dog on the money line, you can't pick a run line favorite. Obviously. So there's 81 percentile here. So 74% going here and 81% going here. So they're looking to cash this out and they're looking to cash this out. So they're above this minus 150 threshold are Pittsburgh at home. And they're only getting 26% of the money. As long as they continue to stay pretty high above that minus 150, they're minus 172, not super high, but they're up there, especially for baseball. As long as they stay above that, they're good. Pittsburgh at home. 81% here, going with them at home. I would challenge that only because Cincinnati is above that minus 150 threshold. So I would go with Cincinnati on that run line. Under is getting that minus 122 at 7.5. At 43%, I would once again fade the public at this 57% over. And now the total has it has gone up. Obviously, it was at 7 for bet 365. I didn't see FanDuel at 7 at all, but I just saw it at 7.5 this whole time. So I would still go with that under and challenge that low total. Now let's go with Miami versus Atlanta. Let me scroll down a bit. All right. Plus 118 for the Marlins on the road. Was that minus 118? That is minus 118, excuse me. Plus 100 even for Atlanta Braves at home. So this is one of those kind of pick 'em games, 51, 52 percentile-ish for Miami Marlins to win, plus 100 for Atlanta. Over-unders at 8. Minus 114 cost going over. Unders getting minus 106. Minus 1.5 run line for the Marlins at plus 136. Plus 1.5 at minus 164. 164 cost. That's high cost for the Braves. Let's see where the money is going in this one. Because this, even when you pick here, that's 100% money going to the sports books. 100% money going to these sports books when you bet on those evens. A lot like what happened in the Super Bowl with the Eagles winning across the board. 76% of the money going with Miami. 91% of the money going with Miami on the run line. They're not paying this out. Obviously, that's not going to end up at 91 percentile. It's probably going to end up around 71, 68. It's going to go down significantly. I'm going to tell you that now. Atlanta looks good on the run line. Now, this plus 100 versus minus 118, this is obviously going to fluctuate throughout the day. If Atlanta goes to the negative, I would go at Atlanta across the board. Only if they go to the negative. Which I predict them to do. Both teams are going to be negative. It's going to be something like minus 114, I'll say minus 116 to minus 102, minus 104, something like that for Atlanta. Minus 116 for Miami. But Atlanta looks good across the board. Over under is somewhat about even at 8, which is an even total amount. Somewhat average. 82% betting going with the over. 61% of the money going with the over. At that minus 114 cost. Minus 114's hit slightly more than minus 106's. It's about 55-45, not significantly higher. So it does matter in sports betting which one of these costs win more, because you're more than likely going to win with that cost. So I would join the public and go with that over. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. This has been the NFL and MLB. But yeah, we're gearing up for a huge season on the Patreon. Link is in the description and in the video. You guys take care. Pray every day. I've been Scott.